Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. This is We Are Five Fifths. Excuse my background, man. There was a lot going on last night, early this morning. Let me turn this shit off. There was a lot going on for me, so after all that shit, I rolled another one up, and yeah, my stupid ass forgot to charge my phone. So I'm outside of my backyard using the outlet, charging my phone. You know what I mean? My bad for the background. But yeah, good afternoon, man. Some wild shit, man. So I threw it back, right? I was listening to that little baby song, the bigger picture, and after that, I threw it back to my nigga Tupac, right? And I'm listening to White Man's World. Tell me how parts of that song he got Martin Luther King's his speeches in the song. Then Pac is yelling out a bunch of political prisoners, and I already told you how. When you're a political prisoner, the statutes that they keep you under, they will put you under like a terrorist, whether if you're domestic or foreign. And as long as they pull you out your cell every some odd days, whether if it's 72, 45, 90, they pull you out, investigate you, and put you back, they can hold you without a bond and without charges. So you never see a judge. You don't have a bond. And they could basically kidnap you for the rest of your natural life under no charge with nothing. Kidnapping, basically, if they feel like you're going against what they feel is America stands for, like a Benedict Arnold. If they feel you're a Benedict Arnold, you're a rep. Like Snowden, the movie Snowden. That's a true person. That's a true story. Snowden was working for some government agency, maybe CIA, and as he progressed in the ranks, he noticed that these cameras and mics on our devices, TVs, even laptops, that the U.S. government could tap into your cameras and mics at any point in time whenever they feel and see and hear what they want when they want. There's another movie made upon that back in the day. It's still under science fiction, like the movie's fake, right? Because back at that time when the movie was made, it was fake. It's the movie with Will Smith and Gene Hackman. It's called Enemy of the State. It's an old movie, right? It's basically the movies telling you back then that there's going to be a time in the world, in America, that they're going to have cameras on every street light, on every ATM, in every business. Everybody looked at the movie like people were fucking nuts. And some dude dropped some computer fucking memory disk, USB shits, whatever, I forget what they're called. I told you I don't know everything. But the fucking thing, I think it's one of those, he drops it in Will Smith's bag while Will Smith is at the store, at like a lingerie store, because some shit happened with the size, I think, and it's been a long time since I watched this movie. So basically, they tap into this system, and they're using all these cameras and ATMs, and which at that time didn't exist. ATMs didn't have cameras at that time. Now, today, they're everywhere like it was portrayed in that movie, but back then it wasn't. So it was under science fiction. You correct that. It's still under science fiction. The movie's true. The movie wasn't even true. The movie was a prediction, like it was a warning. This is what's gonna happen. But, so they use this whole computer system to find him, track him, keep following him to get him. Surveillance system. So John Snowden seen this shit, that they had big ass screens in the department of whatever, of the CIA, wherever department he worked in, I forget. They had big ass screens on the walls of cameras, of all the cameras, live feeds of everybody, for no reason. Didn't matter. They showed people at the beach, people in their living rooms, people sleeping, just all kinds of shit. To the point that they were the ones that pushed that the phones even get a camera, and then that the phones get a camera on both sides. So it doesn't matter how you put your phone, they get to see something. Because remember, back then the phones only had one camera on the front side, or the back side of the phone. So if you laid your phone face up, they wouldn't be able to see nothing. So now there's cameras on both sides. Did you see that phone that Android has that has like 13 cameras? Any which angle you put that shit, they could see everywhere, B. Like, what? So, that system, now we have a name for it and everything. So, I'm listening to these songs, And Martin Luther King is up there talking about the same shit we talking about today. Fuck is, excuse my language. I got my neighbor's kids outside. So I gotta watch my mouth sometimes. They ask me politely. So what's the real change? The song is 24 years plus old. You know what I mean? The song is mad old. The song came, Pac died in 96, B. It's 2020, man. That's 24 years. And Martin Luther King in the song is talking about how we find ourselves in smoke-filled rooms thinking that's reality. He talks about how America's not for us. How America's for the white man. How every nationality other than white is supposed to be the burden bearers of this nation. How this nation is built for the only true citizens, which is what I was talking about. He talks about how the forefathers that wrote the Constitution, they themselves were racist. They themselves. So this coveted piece of paper that this whole land was built on, the paper itself is racist. That's racism on paper. That they do everything possible to never open up. Because that racist state of mind and mentality and systematic division that they have for us, it seems like they don't ever want to let that go. Because what I say in the beginning, let's metaphorically put this shit like if it was a person. Let's say America was a person, right? And America had a drug problem. America wasn't racist. America had a drug problem, right? It's the very first step in a drug problem, trying to get sober. What's the very, very first step? You got to admit you got to admit that you have a problem to begin with, right? You have to be open enough to say to yourself, I have an issue here I need to address. You have to be open enough to receive that message, let alone make that message to yourself. So if America was a person, she has to say to herself, I got an issue and I got to be open to everything that comes with this issue because it's my issue. I created it. So why should someone else feel the burden of the repercussion of the issue that I created? That's called taking responsibility for your action. And we as a piece, aren't we as a people supposed to lead by example? So what type of an example is America showing? If she won't even take responsibility for her own action that she has in paper, that she knows the answer is opening that Constitution. That's where the problem is. That's where the answer is. You ever notice that news reporters, right? What's the first thing they say? First Amendment rights. What else? They talk about taking people's gun amendment, your right to bear arms. They talk about all this shit, right? That's in the Constitution, but they won't never talk about how we are 3/5 of a man on that same paper, which is the reason why the police brutality is coming down, which is the reason why all the minorities are in prisons across America. Like, what? Yo, did y'all hear last week in fucking Chicago? This time I have to swear because I feel some type. Do you know that in Chicago, 18 people got shot in like a day? Do that math. 18 people got shot in 24 hours in Chicago. That's a person an hour, B. Every hour in that day, that's like an hour, 12 minutes, somebody was getting shot. Like, what? You serious? How 18 people get shot in 24 hours in one city? Do you know that in the last 2 days, like 2 days ago, for like 36 hours, for like a day and a half in New York City, like 30-something people got shot? It was like 20 shootings. And y'all talking about defunding the police all the way? I'm not saying I got a problem with that energy. I don't. I dig it. Y'all shooting each other because y'all mad. Y'all shooting each other because we hungry, because we starving, because we being abused, we being oppressed. I understand the anger, my niggas. I get the anger. But you flexing that anger on the wrong person. But then when the enemy comes, when that oppressor comes, what you do? You put that banger down, right? And you say, I'm sorry, officer. Here, you can take me in handcuffs and put me in this cage like an animal and feed me some shit that ain't good for me. You know what I mean? And make my first meal of the day 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Make my lunch at like 10 something. Make my dinner at like 4 something. And don't call them shits breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You call it chow time, nigga. Because I'm a dog. Because I'm an animal. It's chow time. It's not time to eat. It's chow time. Do humans chow or do dogs chow? Because I don't even think it's cat chow. I don't even think it's kittens chow. That's dogs that chow, right? This is the vernacular they use while you in there. While the whole purpose of being in there is to destroy you mentally. Because once they kill your brain, forget about it. You know what I mean? You just hope that that trait keeps going in that bloodline, so then you don't have to worry about that bloodline in the future. And for all you know, the future Martin Luther King of that bloodline comes from that bloodline. But now that bloodline is probably autistic. That bloodline is probably whatever. That bloodline probably getting shot up by Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, probably shooting each other now. I told you I ain't got no problems with bearing them arms. I ain't got no problems with you wanting to clap them niggas. I ain't got no problems with that. I ain't got no problems if you want to burn down shit. Burn down the right shit. Because the enemy don't care because you ain't bothering them. The enemy like, look, we got them so divided that they fighting each other. Then they sitting back laughing at us. So what I'm saying is, you as a person, you're basically using your hand to shoot your own foot. And you saying that it's them. Because they so far away from us. They so far ahead of us. They so far ahead of the plans that's in place that they know how we gonna react. They already determined that. Because we're predictable. We doing the same shit. Motherfuckers was getting killed by police back then, and it's still happening now. Where did the change happen? The change never came. They manipulated you to believe it was a change. They said, yo, we'll give you that. Let's give him everything to make him shut up so he don't see the bigger picture. He don't open up that Constitution. Again, if the Constitution was written by all racist people, that is the paper that we need to rip up. You say, what is it in the Statue of Liberty? What it used to say, bring me your brave, bring me your hungry, bring me your few. The Liberty, the Statue of Liberty, I think that's what it says in the book, some shit like that by New York. Before they started worrying about building walls and shit, this was the land of the free. Everybody could come here and live the American dream and live your life without being hindered. And it looks like the closed captioning in that is if as long as you're not part black or anything to do with blacks. Because if not, in this bayou, in this island, in this country, you going to be looked as under the dirt. The dirt gonna be looked at. Dogs are gonna be looked at higher and valued more than you. How do we know that? Because Michael Vick could kill a fucking dog and get 2.5 years, and a cop could kill a black man and get a raise and retire. You know what I mean? They make videos and movies of it. They got monumental parks in Alabama to this shit. Don't you have to have some type of governmental approved funding to build a national park that's a museum like that? Don't you? That means the government knew about it. They know about it. And the park's been up. So when you say, oh, you all over the place, am I? Because everything I told you that the U.S. been doing overseas, arming the rebels, arming your Al-Qaeda terror. You only know the name Al-Qaeda because they gave them that name after they trained them, after the U.S. government gave them the weapons, after the U.S. government gave them the military clothing, after they gave them the military training, after they armed them, after all of that. Then they said, yo, that's Al-Qaeda. What? I'm like, you created that. Now you telling us that's our enemy. You created that faction. Before you got involved, that faction didn't exist to the extent the way they did. Until you got involved. Now there's a problem. Right? And what I say, this is your connect the dot for those of you who just can't do it. Correct or incorrect, the only way you can get a weapon legal in the United States of America is by the government knowing some type of information about you. In other words, if you're here, you got to apply for a gun license. If you're down south, you can go to Walmart, fill out some piece of paper where it has your information. But if the Walmart clerk likes you enough, he thinks you're not a threat, you can walk out the store right then and there with it, knowing not mattering what your credentials are. If you're good enough of a manipulator, you could be a convicted murderer out of jail 2 years, not even 2 days. If you're a well enough off manipulator and you can make that person believe that you're not a threat, you can walk out of that Walmart with a loaded weapon until your shit comes back, right? Nevertheless, the government has to know where all the weapons are going, correct? All right. Where is all these guns coming from in Chicago? Where? You tell me where. Because I seen mad shit. I read shit back in the day where kids would just be going to parks and they just be duffel bags laying in the park in the middle of the night. Nobody around these bags. You open them and it's full of guns. My guy, there was a couple of rappers in Chicago a couple of months ago. Maybe these dudes got caught with bazookas, my guy. Bazookas. They on Instagram Live making rap videos with bazookas, my nigga. Where you getting a bazooka from if the government don't know? You not getting a bazooka shipped in from Afghanistan over the mail through the black market internet. That's not popping. Don't allow yourself to be confused by that stupid lie. You're smarter than that. How many times you try to get some other shit that you thought was a knockoff to come through and it never did? Imagine a bazooka. A bazooka. You think you can order that over the internet through your phone and the ATF or something not come in right behind you or behind the package? The mailman gonna be an ATF agent, bro. What is you talking about? Where is these people getting these bazookas from? Where are you getting grenade launchers and grenades and all this military grade weapon is what I'm saying. If it's a military grade weapon, like the way they say assault rifles were banned back in the days. Remember they banned the making of all assault rifles? That means every assault rifle that you've seen after that is a government issue assault rifle. Did you ever connect that dot? How long ago that shit was passed? And how many of these street people you know in your neighborhood that got these nut weapons that were made that you know after that law was passed? Where are these military weapons coming from? How is it that I could go in my hood, right? And I can't even get a clear-cut answer about something that might have happened back in the days that affecting us today. But I could go right in my hood and get an AK, an AR-15 like it's a Lucy. For those of you who don't know what a Lucy is, that's a single cigarette. Around my way, them shits is 50 cents. That's how simple it is. Why isn't knowledge simply that accessible? I don't understand why all the devices that are made to hinder ourselves and kill ourselves so easily accessible. But the things that we actually need to make the difference are far and few in between around here. So again, where are these weapons coming from? Is that the U.S. government's form of arming our U.S. rebels the way they do in other countries that they act like they have nothing to do with, like they just going over there to be like some innocent mediator, when in actuality you probably trying to manipulate how their country is ran to change shit for how you want to do it, so they can live how you think, you feel, you see right. So basically, in essence, that's you going into your neighbor's house and telling your neighbor how they need to live their life. That's you going into your neighbor's crib and telling them, yo, you can't be raising your kids like that. You need to clean your house like this. You need to cook like this. You need to talk like... You going into every single one of your neighbor's crib. That's what America's doing. And then when somebody got the audacity to stand up to the bully, that nation becomes a terrorist to America. Because they telling America like what you would tell that neighbor. Yo, stop being nosy and mind your own business. Why don't you clean up your own backyard? Places like Chicago and all your ghettos across America. Why don't you clean up your own backyard? How we still got homeless people in 2020? How is that even possible? We paying over $1,000 for a cell phone now. I remember when cell phones was like $1 and that phone would last you like 4 years. Back in the day when I was a kid, everything was meant and made so for you to purchase it once and it lasts forever. Now everything is made for you to purchase every year. Same thing. Maybe a couple of things different. It's not like my cell phone from 2000. The first iPhone I bought that was $500 cash. To today's iPhone, it's not like one of these things is spitting out money. It's not like somebody's coming out of my screen like a hologram, something majorly different. I'm doing the same thing then that I'm doing now. I'm talking on the phone, I'm taking videos, and I'm on the internet. What are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to confuse me and manipulate me to believe that some system is making my videos, everything upload quicker today than it did 20 years ago? Or is that a system that you just making relevant and giving importance to figure out a new way to take our money? Because what's smarter? Building a system that needs upgrading every so often so we can perform at the highest speeds? Or making something that speed is irrelevant? Internet speed, that doesn't matter. Make it so everything is instantaneously. Like the way you start a car. We talking about things that's not important or as important. And I keep repeating the same sentiment until people start saying it and it start happening. Real talk. It's like when the bully keep coming around. When you stand up to him once and he come around again, do you not stand up to him? Or you stand up to him every single time until he understand I am your equal. You not gonna bully me. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. All I know is that we need to stick together, all of us, all races, and make a better way. Just like back in the day, we went from walking to horseback, to horse and carriage, to bikes, to cars, to motorcycles, to planes, to airplanes. People in itself need to progress in the same nature. In the same nature of how we treat and deal with each other. Because you as a person, right? I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about. You as a person, you can't come to me because I don't give personally. A, I don't care what our location is. B, I don't care what the repercussion gonna be. You ain't gonna be giving me no type of entitlement. All that shit ain't popping with me. I don't care your age, your sexual orientation, I don't care. It's not pop. I'm going to jail if I have to. It's not happening. I don't care. Like, that will bring it out, yes. Because you can't sit here and antagonize me on some racist shit, right? And when I beat the living fuck out of you, play victim. Because you antagonize that. That's something I learned as a kid. If you can't handle the heat, get out the kitchen, right? You antagonizing me and my reaction is the heat. It's funny how you can slap cuffs on me. You could put chains around my neck. You could chain us all, put them in the bottom of boats. Whip us so we be the motors to your boats. Whip us until we put the rails for the train tracks. Whip us so we build your houses. Whip us so we knock the trees down. Whip us when we just want to eat and just relax for a day. Whip us when we want to speak. Whip us when we want to be treated like normal people. Whip us when we want to just stand up for ourselves. You whip us when we just speak out loud. You whipped the slaves for making up slave songs. You whipped us for not dividing and making the house nigga and the yard nigga until that division happened. And you made us, that was the beginning stages of us hating each other. The yard nigga and the house nigga was the beginning of that. You whipped us. You enchained us. You hung us. You burned us. You crucified us. Literally put us on stakes. Literally. You made monuments to your achievements, which are trophies of you showing off to your successful, systematic division of us all over this country for us to look at. These are just smidgens of things that we know of today that you have done. But when it's our turn, we gotta be peaceful. Meanwhile, through our whole existence, you living up in the mountains in life of luxury. We living down here on top of each other like Hunger Games. Or is this Hunger Games in the movie is something like this? When have you ever seen a light-skinned white person hate a lighter-skinned white person? Does that even make sense? Nah, right? That shit don't even make sense. But you get a light-skinned black motherfucker will hate the shit out of a dark nigga. I don't get it. Are you attaching the real dark motherfucker with the way the white people portrayed the bad guy in the movies back in the day? Do you remember that? Back in the day when it was only probably like 4 or 5 TV stations. Yo, these dudes used to make the movies, right? How you know the bad guy from the good guy? The bad guy with a black hat, right? They associated dark black with negative, bad. You see that? Isn't onyx stone top? Isn't cement roads bad? That's why it's tar, black. If you put all the colors together, right? You just make a big ass circle. Don't they make the color black? All right, let's stop with the metaphor. Isn't the black DNA in every single race? Can't you go back in time except for the white race and go back to China? You'll find black Chinese. What? How is it that you can find a dark skin of every race except for that one race, but everything comes from the black race, the one race that we don't know nothing about? I tell y'all this all the time. I feel like black people back in the days, way back in the day, I feel like they were the kings and queens of the world. I feel like they had such powers over how to manifest things and how to create things in real life. That's how your pyramids was built. They will sit there and tell you, right, about this Sumerian culture that's attached with these shit, man, I forgot. Damn it, it happened again. Fuck. Hold on, let me let this little nigga over here in his little bike pull up. It's the Sumerians and it's in the Bible too, yo. They talk about the other race in the Bible too. In the very beginning, if you don't understand what you're reading, you're not gonna catch it. It talks about the giants, the Sumerians and damn it, I forget the name, yo. The Nephilims. So evidently there's a planet. This goes all the way back to the Mayans. That's how the Mayans got the solar system correct. Back then, they have it chiseled. Think about it, the Mayans. They have the solar system in place in order by size of planet, of actual sizes of planets. Which ones are bigger, which ones are smaller. They have it all correctly. And in there, they say there's another planet out there, past Pluto. That's why they took Pluto's title of a planet away, because they say Pluto is so small that sometimes it jumps and it does things that they can't predict. That they say obviously that means it's being affected by a planet further out that we cannot see, and Pluto's being affected by that planet's it's happening, I keep forgetting. Its orbit. So that's why it keeps throwing Pluto off, because certain Egyptians believe that there's a planet out there called Nimburu that we only see like every 3,500, 3,700 years. Right? We have all of this shit that say these are the people that had the most technology in the world. Right? All of this shit. If you look at some parts in the world under the water, you'll see megaliths. You'll see pyramids. That means that water isn't always where water was. You ever been to a beach? You feel that sand on the bottom? Next time you feel that sand, when you go out there in the beach, go deep. Feel that ground. Feel the ripples in the water underground, right? When you're feeling that, picture a desert and what the sands look like. So, obviously, I believe at one point, everywhere that is desert now, I'm pretty sure was full of water at one point. And everywhere that has water now was straight dry land. That means the earth's surface looked a little different. There was probably a lot more land out. You know what I mean? We probably have more proof of shit of how to manifest what we want. A lot easier. How many of y'all know about that? Do they teach you about that in school? They ain't teach me that. I taught myself that. I learned that on my own. But they talk about this knowledge like it's been handed down from generation to generation to generation about some race that's in another planet that had all this technology. But you can't tell me about the black race 500 years ago? Like, come on. I am not a 4-year-old boy. You ain't gonna tell me in one chapter that Christopher Columbus discovered America, and then the very next chapter, there were these things called Native Americans. So shouldn't you have stopped the story right there and said, well, hold on. If there were Native Americans there, then that means he didn't discover it. But no, you kept the lie, you perfected the lie, you implemented the lie, and you made the lie a systematic way of defeating us. To show us, look, they're so stupid that in one chapter, we can tell you that Christopher Columbus discovered this place. In the very next chapter, tell you that there were Indians there. And you're just not smart enough to differentiate that if there's people there, how can you discover it? But if you bring that subject up to certain people, they will fight you. Christopher Columbus, you taking down his statues, but you still got to know that shit in school to get a diploma. To pass the first grade or whatever it is now. Still got to know that. If you're trying to get a citizenship, that's probably something that's in the question. Why is that so important? Like, what? You basically immortalized a criminal. And then you wondering why you have a nation full of criminals doing criminalistic shit? I don't understand. Isn't the reason why America got discovered is because we ran from the Brits and everything the Brits... Do you remember that original flag? We had the stars and stripes, and in the corner, it wasn't stars. It was the emblem of the British flag. Do you know your history? And then they changed it to the 13 colonies, or the 8 colonies, then 13 colonies, then the 13 star. Yeah, buddy. And then 2 years after slavery was abolished and it became a law that we are all free, 2 years later, the Lone Star State decided to release all their slaves. For 2 years, Texas did not let go of their slaves. Hence, the Lone Star State. Hence, they were the Lone Star that didn't give up their slaves. Lone Star State, baby. These are the reason why it's a Confederate flag. The Confederacy, they would not want to let go of the slave. You understand that? That Confederate flag is racism in your face with colors that somebody designed. True talk, yo. I'm going to give you a little story. About a year and some change ago, I drove down to South Carolina with my girl to visit her family. Never been down to South Carolina in... Well, I have prior to that, but I've never, I don't know. I've never noticed this shit on the highways while driving. I'm doing like a buck. I'm just trying to get to where I'm going. From up here, that's like 18 hours, some crazy shit. So this particular time on the way back, granted, let me put this out there. I apologize. I should have conducted myself better, with better manners, and used better vernacular. Mind you, I'm about to be married to a strong, beautiful, intelligent black woman. All right? We leaving her mom's house, heading back up here to CT from South Click. Right? I'm driving. We in her car. We ain't even in my car. I think we in her car. I see the big ass Confederate flag while I'm driving. This is how fucked up they got our brains. Me and her get in an argument about this fucking flag. I just told you she's black. We get in an argument about this flag. And I tell her, what? Why is that? And it's fucking bad. The flag is huge. It's like, The government put it up on a big ass city-state pole that when you cross the line, I believe it's from North Carolina to South Carolina, like right there on that border, it's a big ass Confederate flag. Or it's somewhere in that, around there. It's a big ass Confederate flag. And I'm like, what? And she's like, what? That's our flag. I looked at her, more or less. Told you the kids was in the car. The kids are a little bit, they teenagers. I should have chose better words, but I was so like hurt that the miseducation is showing. In part, this conversation helped open me up to bring me to where I'm at today. And she's like prideful about it. Black woman, prideful about the Confederate flag. And I'm like, my nigga, are you fucking crazy? I'm like, are you fucking crazy right now? I'm like, do you understand what that flag stands for? That's a racist flag. The Confederacy was fighting. The Civil War was the North wanted to free the slaves and the South said no. The North said we're flying the American flag, the stars and stripes. And the Confederacy said that they said no, this is our flag. We're keeping our slaves. That is your racist flag, bro. We got in a crazy argument. Imagine the energy we had the ride home, B, for 12 states. Imagine that energy. It took her a minute to understand what was happening. I can't even get this shit to shut up. She keep calling me. I'm trying to make the noise stop and it won't, yo. She just like, come on, man. I think I gotta end this video and come at it again because it's not stopping. I'm on the road too, man. So the Confederacy, the Civil War was that the North was saying free the slaves and the South said no. Oh my God, yo. So after all of that, and it was free, and it passed as a law, and the war was over, Texas still held on. Texas was the last state. All them states held on. So anybody you see advocating for that Confederate flag, don't confuse yourself. I don't care how cool they are with you. That flag stands for racism. I got to go, man. We all found fifths.